Yes, a good one, that, isn't it? First to our guest today, and it's been just over a year since the lights of the showbiz sky became that little bit darker when national treasure Paul O'Grady passed away. Now, in a moment, Paul's husband, Andre Portasio, will be sharing his memories in his first TV interview. First, though, a few of our memories of the icon, Mr. Paul O'Grady.
Have you come down from Leeds, Liz, today?
No, Manchester.
Oh, Manchester? I thought you were from Leeds.
I'd come anywhere to see you.
Oh, isn't she fit? All that flour. It's because she's full of cheap supermarket booze upstairs. Robbie Williams here in the front. Got your edible, Robbie. Edible. Isn't that fabulous? Look at that. Weddings, funerals. How's that? I mean, say I showed you now on here Dumbo's mother with the baby Dumbo in her trunk singing "Baby Mine." Would you cry?
No. And this is a French beer.
It's disgusting. What is it? It tastes like that stuff you put in cat litter trays to get rid of the smell. He's loving this. Go on, man, get it in your bowl.
There'll be laughs.
Mostly at my expense.
No, Brent, right.
I've been with him on an island. Where's that island you took me to?
The Isle of Man.
Andre, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're all smiling and laughing through that because we all just adore him. How difficult is it for you to watch that just a year on from Paul's passing?
I love watching him, and to me, it feels... Now I'm sort of accepting that he's gone. It took me quite a long time to kind of get to this position, I think. To begin with was really a shock.
You didn't go out, did you, Andre?
No, I stayed in the house. To begin with, you know, I was getting the letters and the flowers, and it was just too overwhelming to begin with. In hindsight now, I see how much it has really helped me, the support, and I should thank everyone that really wrote to me, and, you know, it was just the kindness of everybody, really, it will stay with me forever.
Oh. And then there was a wonderful memorial evening that was quite unlike any I've ever been to for anyone I've ever known who's passed on. It was absolutely bonkers.
Yes, to me, it felt it needed to be a celebration. You know, Paul was such a character, you know, and I didn't realize until I think he passed away how popular he was. You know, just by being on TV, I suppose I'm always backstage, and I never really had... I never realised how loved he was.
But, you know, I don't know if Paul realised that.
No, I don't think he did.
Because he was so loved, and I think the reason being, as far as I'm concerned, you know, knowing him years and years and years, he never, no matter how famous he got or how far up the ladder he got, he was always Paul. He never, ever changed.
Yeah, the boy from Birkenhead.
Yeah.
And that's how he, I think, saw himself. He never saw himself as, you know, a celebrity or a star.
He could be quite embarrassing when you went out with him. You go to really posh places. I remember going out for a drink with him one night. I mean, I'll have a glass of champagne. He went, "Oh, can I have a cider?" Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were talking about letters and things that you've received of condolences. One of the letters that you received was from the Queen Consort, Camilla. Yes,
I was shocked to receive a letter from her. And I must confess, it took me so long to reply. It's not every day that you receive a letter from the Queen. So I would, you know, wake up and think, I must reply to her letter. And I would sit down and I would be like, "Dear Camilla." No. "Dear Queen Camilla." Oh, no. And it took me so long. In the end, I was like, you're not writing a book, you're writing a thank letter, and you just have to go with what is in your heart. So I finally wrote to her.
Oh, good for you. One thing I have to ask you about is, obviously, we all know what an animal, massive animal lover Paul was. Which obviously you had to be, because no one could be with Paul that didn't love animals. And 5 dogs. You have?
Yeah.
And one thing I read which really touched my heart was when he passed away, it was recommended to you that you took the dogs to his casket to see him so that they could see that...
I received so many letters, and it was funny because, you know, a lot of people didn't know the address. So you would receive the letter and it would be like, Paul O'Grady, home, Kent. And I opened this letter and it was this old lady, and she was, I think she was 85. And she was very worried that about the dogs, and the dogs had to say goodbye. And that it stayed at the back of my mind, and I thought, you know, I must attend to what she's asking me to do. So just before he was buried, I took the dogs to say goodbye. And it was really interesting to see that some of them engaged with Paul, but others, they just swept out as if he wasn't there anymore.
And how are they all doing now?
They're doing fabulous. And they were a great source of...
And you're carrying on, aren't you, or trying to carry on his charity work for...
Yes, I feel very responsible to what he started. You know, he was so many facets. He was a great radio DJ, a broadcaster, performer, and everything else. But aside from that, I think he was also very charitable. And something I think no one really realized is that most of the charity work that he's done was very private. So I feel I needed to take the legacy forward and continue helping the organizations that he helped, but also taking it further that he can outlive me in that sense.
But also in your local community, you said that Paul had bought some fruit trees which he hadn't planted.
Yes.
And that you took them to the local school.
Well, just before he passed away, he said to me, let's walk the dogs, I have something to show you. And the surprise was the fruit trees, because we had recently built a guest cottage in the grounds, and he was looking to, you know, do the garden around it. So he bought those fruit trees, and when he passed away, I felt I cannot enjoy them alone. It needs to be somewhere that other people can enjoy. And he done a lot of work with the primary school in our village. So I phoned them up. I'm good friends with the head teacher. And I was like, would you mind having the trees? And he was like, of course. So we had a little ceremony with all the kids. And they helped me plant the trees. And just before, when I got there, obviously I had to introduce the idea to the children. And I said to them, you know, do you know who Paul O'Grady was? And bear in mind, all these children are 7, 8 years old. And then the first answer was like, he was a drag queen. But which shows that, you know, for a child of 7 to know who Lily Savage was, it really highlights his impact.
But you celebrated, if that's the right word, commemorated a year after his passing by going on holiday, didn't you?
Yes, I didn't want to be in the house remembering the shock that I had gone through, and it was really, really, really hard. I don't wish to my worst enemy to find the person that you love unconscious on the floor. I didn't want to remember him in that way. I wanted to celebrate his life, the time that we had together. I was very fortunate to spend 18 years with him. When we got married, you know, for me, it was forever. And only I didn't realize that it was short-lived. We were together for 18 years and we were married for 6. So, and Paul, we traveled all over the world. But we'd never been to New Zealand. So for me, it was going to a place where I could celebrate him, you know, without the problems. When someone dies, no one tells you how hard it is with the admin of it and the decisions you have to make and all that cloudy that has nothing to do with how I felt about him. I took his passport with me. I took his pyjamas with me. And you know that I also took one of his friends, which is it's an imaginary friend called Kitty. And Paul, you know, Kitty would appear in the most bizarre moments. Often when he wants to deflect the conversation. So if I said to Paul, oh, Paul, let's go for a little walk. And he would say, like, Kitty, what is he mumbling on about? And then I would be like, Kitty, tell him that it's just a 5-minute walk. So going to New Zealand, I had Kitty and Paul with me. I would be like, Kitty, how come is he not complaining of walking?
Well, listen, it's so lovely to hear your stories because we obviously knew him. I mean, I know Janet was friends, but we knew him from the television, from our world. But, you know, he was your love and your husband, and it must have left a huge void in your life, but it's so wonderful that you're trying to carry on his legacy with all his charity work, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all that with us.
Thank you.